So in getting started, before you watch the video, you want to make sure that you have already selected, photographed, or downloaded the images that you'll be using for the Notan project. You can see my 3 images here based on the Shinto faith. You want to make sure these have been downloaded to the computer you are working on. The next thing you'll do is make sure that you go to the Finder menu, the basic desktop of the computer, choose Go, go to Applications, find Adobe Photoshop. In this case, CC 2017 is the newest version. Open the folder, double click to open the application, and you will have this open up for you. Once it's set here, you'll see that there are 2 boxes. If these 2 boxes are not black and white, come up here to just above them where you see a black and white box. Go ahead and click on those. We want to make sure that the upper left box, which is your foreground color, is black, and the lower right hand box, your background color, is white. From here, we're ready to create your document. We're going to go to File, choose New. And although this box can look a little overwhelming, what we're actually going to do is go to the basic print options. We're going to choose the tabloid 11 by 17 paper. It's already set up for us at 300 pixels per inch. That's the resolution or print quality. White background, and we're going to say create. And we get this big white rectangular box. Over here under your layers palette, you'll see it's identified as your background layer. The next thing we want to do is come to the bottom of the layers palette to this little square with a little triangle in the bottom left-hand corner. This is your layer palette. We're going to create a new layer. Right now it's called Layer 1. And if I look at the top and left-hand side of my workspace, you can see that we have some rulers. If you do not see these rulers, press Command R. Command R turns rulers on and off. You're going to toggle those so that you can actually see them. I'm pressing Command 0 to make the rectangle as large as possible on my screen. And what I'm going to do is come to the ruler on either side and drag it to the center point of the document. The width of my document is 11, half of which is 5.5. Vertically, this is 17 inches, half of which is 8.5. These guides are going to act as a reference point for the rest of the project, so you'll want to make sure that you do that. The first time we're going to use that is now. We're going to create a black box on layer 1 using this dotted line rectangle tool. If you don't see it, you might see one of these other shapes. All I'm doing is clicking and holding down on this dotted line tool till I'm able to choose a rectangular marquee. I'm going to come to where my 2 crosshairs come together, place my cursor there, and you'll see it kind of looks like a target. The center of the target is where we're going to start to draw our box. Once I have it centered on those 2 guides that we've created, I'm going to hold down the Shift and Option key, click, and drag out. And as I do, you can see that it's telling me the width and the height just above the cursor to the right. I want this box to be 4 inches square. And as soon as I've done that, we can see that that black square we talked about is highlighted with a little white border. I'm going to come here to what looks like a paint bucket. Again, if you see a different tool like the gradient or 3D tool, just click, hold down until you see the paint bucket tool. I'm going to come inside of the boundaries of those dotted lines, click and fill with black. And then I'll either press Command D or choose Select Deselect to get rid of those dotted lines. We now have a black box on a separate layer from our background. And we can see that by turning off the visibility of layer 1. If you have that done completely, actually double click on the words layer 1 and call it black box. So at this point, we're now ready for you to bring your images over into this document so we can start to actually build our own artwork. So I'm going to switch back over to the Finder or desktop to where I have those downloaded images. And what I'm going to do one at a time is bring them over. So here's my Onamori amulet. When you see this little box appear, you'll see that your image looks a little bit fuzzy. There's a box with an X running through it. Go ahead and hit return. I'm going to go ahead and repeat that with my other two images here. Okay, and then I have something here that's called the Move tool. Looks kind of like a compass. And what I can do is, depending on which layer I'm on, I can actually move these objects independently so that we can see the shrine, the amulet, and the tomoe separately. If you look in the lower right-hand corner of each of these layers, there's this little symbol that I'd prefer not to explain right now, but we need to change that. The way we're going to do that is for each layer now. For my triple tomoe, I'm going to go to Layer, Smart Object, Rasterize. And you'll see that little symbol there went away. If I come to the shrine, Layer, Smart Object, Rasterize, and again for the amulet, Layer, Smart Object, Rasterize. Because my layers were named ahead of time, you'll see that the layer names came over. If that didn't happen, what you should be doing is double-clicking on the name of the layer so that you can actually come in here and change it. So I'll add the word Shinto to my shrine here. And you'll see that each one of these is now labeled on its own layer. And we can see that because number one, each one has its own name. Second of all, I can drag these layers up and down independently. And if you notice, if I actually stack one on top of the other, if I move the amulet layer above the other two, it actually becomes visible. If I move the shrine above the other two layers over on the layer palette, it becomes the one that's top in the hierarchy, with the background always being on the bottom. Once you have all three of your images in, come to File, choose Save As, and for your file name, use your first initial, your last name, underscore Notan, which is the process we're using for this design in Photoshop. I'm going to save it to the same folder that my reference images were in. Where you save it, you need to keep track of so that this file is the only thing you're ever using from here on. Once you're set, click Save. You can click OK to the formatting options, and you're now ready to move on to the second video.